August 22 was the day heaven rewrote a chapter in your life, but Archangel Michael is still waiting for you to step into it. Keep ignoring this nudge, and you might miss the exact moment meant to heal everything. Open now. August 22nd. It passed by quietly for most. Just another date on the calendar. Just another turn of the clock's hand. But in the spirit realm, it echoed like a trumpet blast. On that day, heaven paused time long enough to rewrite a chapter in your life. Not just ink on parchment, but divine script etched in fire, correcting what was stolen, restoring what was broken, and unlocking what had been delayed. This was not coincidence. This was not routine. August 22 was a heavenly marker, a spiritual timestamp, a prophetic reset where destinies were shifted and lives were quietly rerouted. But the page heaven turned cannot walk itself into your reality. You must step into it. You must respond. You must obey. The rewriting has occurred, but the reading is still up to you. Archangel Michael, the warring prince of God's armies, has been assigned to guard this transition in your life. He has drawn his sword not merely to protect, but to push back the powers that tried to keep you locked in delay. Yet Michael does not force you forward. He waits for your alignment. And that alignment begins with stillness. It begins with surrender. It begins with radical obedience. If you are too busy to be still, you are too loud to hear the whisper of heaven's cue. And that whisper is everything. Because if you miss this divine nudge, if you let this window close, you risk repeating the very cycles heaven just broke open for you. This message is not for the curious. It is not for those casually browsing prophetic moments looking for comfort. This is for the stirred, for the ones whose spirits started trembling the moment they saw August 22. For those who have felt a divine pause in their atmosphere, an unexplainable knowing in their soul, a magnetic pull towards something they can't quite name. If that's you, then it was written for you. The heavens do not repeat themselves in vain. This is not just a message, it's your memo from the throne room. If your heart has been unsettled, if your prayers have felt louder, if your spirit has been waiting, it is because a new chapter has been declared over your life, and the gates of heaven are holding open a moment you were born to walk into. Type "I am anointed" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1122 is now activated. Hear this now. Archangel Michael has been sent to war over your destiny, and this moment is not just a message, it is a summoning. Heaven has stirred. Time is tightening. And you, chosen vessel, are being awakened. There are times in life when God speaks gently, through peace and stillness. But this is not one of those times. This is a trumpet moment. This is a divine call that breaks through the veil and shakes the atmosphere. Time is short. Heaven is calling your spirit awake. You may not remember everything you prayed for. You may not recall every tear you wept, every silent plea, or every night you whispered, "God, don't let this be all there is." But heaven remembered. And on August 22, God responded. Not with noise, not with flashes of lightning, but with a quiet, sovereign rewrite. The chapter changed in silence, but it shifted everything. And yet, though the chapter was rewritten in heaven, the transition on earth waits for your obedience. The angels are standing still. Archangel Michael is waiting. The scroll has been released, but the key is your alignment. Hear me. The door is not open forever. It is open now, and it will close swiftly. This isn't a delay you can afford. You cannot wait for the right mood or perfect clarity. Heaven doesn't negotiate with hesitation. It moves at the speed of faith. Many will hear this and scroll by. Many will feel a twinge and ignore it. But a few, the chosen ones, the stirred ones, the marked ones, they will hear this and know, this was written for me. If something in your soul has been trembling since the moment you saw August 22, this is not your imagination. This is your invitation. And though your mind may doubt, your spirit has already felt it. The pull, the shift, the sacred unsettlement that comes just before divine change. That is the nudge. That is the whisper. That is the call. And if you do not answer, you may miss the exact moment meant to heal everything. This is the moment when heaven leans in. This is the moment when the angels pause, when the wind's still, when the fire hovers and waits for you. Call upon the name of the Lord now, not casually, but with urgency, with desperation, with surrender. Cry out for Archangel Michael, for his sword to cover you, for his presence to war on your behalf. He is not a passive being. He is not ornamental. He is the commander of breakthrough. He is the guardian of transition. He is the protector of prophecy. And right now, he stands at the door of your next chapter, holding back the adversary that once had full access to your mind, your resources, your relationships, your health. But Michael's sword cannot push you through the threshold. You must choose to walk through. Heaven is not unclear. Heaven is not confused. Heaven has moved. Now it's your turn. What happens next will not be determined by the news, your past, or your surroundings. What happens next will be determined by your response to this call. Will you obey? Will you still yourself? Will you surrender even when it makes no sense? Will you rise even when you're afraid? Because this is not just a prophetic moment, it is a divine ultimatum. You cannot live in yesterday's chapter when heaven has released a new one. Your delay could empower the very cycle you cried to escape. But your obedience unlocks everything. This is your moment. This is your call. The page has turned. Archangel Michael waits, and the door is open. But not for long. Type "I receive the call" in the comments if this message pulls on your spirit. Blessing code 7777 now covers your house. There's been a shift in the atmosphere around you, and though few understand it, they've felt it. They've looked at you lately with quiet curiosity, with cautious observation. Some have pulled away without explanation. Some have leaned in, sensing something different, something unspoken. You haven't said anything, but they noticed. They can't name it, but they feel the tremor of a heavenly stirring around your life. And that is not coincidence. That is evidence of your transition. There have been whispers about you in the spirit realm. Not slander. Not speculation. Heavenly conversations. Strategic movements. Angelic meetings. The blueprint of your life has been passed from one hand to another, and the spiritual atmosphere is responding. Some people feel uneasy around you, not because you've changed in the natural, but because the marking on your life has shifted. Your very presence now carries the weight of destiny, and those not aligned with your future cannot withstand your energy anymore. You've been feeling it too, haven't you? That strange emotional disruption. The discomfort in rooms you once enjoyed. The tension around people who used to bring peace. a sudden detachment from things you once craved. It's not depression. It's not confusion. It's spiritual interruption. Because something sacred is breaking through. You've looked at your life and silently asked, why does everything feel off? But the real question should have been, what is trying to come into alignment? Your spirit knows what your mind is still trying to process. You've tried to shake it. You've tried to name it as exhaustion, overthinking, stress. But none of those words carry the weight of what's actually happening. The truth is, your soul has been caught mid-transit. One foot still in the former season. One foot reaching for what's ahead. You are walking in between dimensions, between what you were and what heaven says you are now becoming. And this strange in-between has caused you to question everything. Why August 22? Why do I feel like something's been undone and redone, but I can't explain it? Why do I feel so close to something I can't see? Why do I feel like something happened, even though I didn't see it? Because something did happen. August 22 wasn't just a date, it was a divine incision. Heaven cut into your timeline and removed what wasn't aligned with your calling. Heaven rewrote what was sabotaged by warfare. Heaven rerouted what had been delayed for years. And now, your emotions are struggling to catch up to the spiritual shift. That's why the confusion is louder. That's why the inner unease has become unbearable. Because your soul is being rewired to receive what it has never experienced before. This is why you've questioned your value, your place, your identity. This is why you felt out of place in rooms that once made you feel seen. The truth is, they saw you, but heaven sees your destiny. And the more you try to explain it, the more misunderstood you feel. That is not by accident. That is a sacred disruption. You are not supposed to fit right now. You are supposed to stretch. And yes, you've wept. Not always with tears, but with silence. With weariness. With the kind of soul sighs that heaven always hears. And the Spirit has been brooding over you, gently hovering, guiding, whispering, waiting. Archangel Michael has not left his post. He has been standing guard through your emotional unraveling, shielding what was deposited in your soul on August 22. For though you may have missed it in the natural, he did not. What you are feeling is not confusion, it's convergence. The merging of what was promised and what is now present. And now you must decide, will you honor the mystery, even when you do not understand it? Will you press deeper into the presence of God, even when your emotions are unpredictable? Will you obey, even while your heart still carries questions? This is the sign of the called, to feel misaligned in the world while being magnetized to heaven's pull. If this message has pulled on your spirit, it's because your spirit remembers what heaven wrote. And heaven is now waiting for your response. Type "I am chosen" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 666 is now surrounding you. If this message has confirmed what your spirit already knew, then you know this isn't just a video. This is a trumpet to the weary, a lifeline to the called, and a warning to the drifting. Every time you support this prophetic mission, you help broadcast heaven's sound into dry places. You help light reach the ones still lost in silence. I hear the Spirit say, the harvest is ready, but the laborers are few. Your giving isn't just generosity, it's obedience. It's partnership with the Spirit's agenda. It's oil in the lamp, fire on the altar, and manna to those starving for truth. If the Lord is stirring your heart, I invite you, support through super thanks, membership, with a PayPal link in the video description. Your seed is sacred. Your obedience is prophetic. Your generosity activates heaven's favor. Sow into this word. Sow into this war. Let your giving echo. I will not miss my moment. Command your harvest now. Blessing follows obedience. What you have been walking through is not just emotional fatigue. It is not circumstantial hardship. It is not just life happening. Hear this in your spirit. You have been in a war not of flesh and blood, but of powers, principalities, and unseen forces trying to abort the rewrite heaven released on August 22. The date was not simply an invitation. It was an interruption, a divine interference into the enemy's timeline, and since then, all of hell has been agitated by your potential. The struggle intensified the moment heaven turned the page. And yet, instead of clarity, you were met with chaos. Instead of breakthrough, you were buried under pressure. Instead of people rallying to support you, some disappeared. Others misread you. Plans stalled. Communication fell apart. Peace was disrupted. But child of God, do not misinterpret what was happening. These were not signs of failure. These were confirmations of your calling. The warfare came because heaven revealed your next chapter in the spirit realm, and darkness caught wind of it. Archangel Michael was dispatched, not to announce what was written, but to defend it. He has stood at the edge of your transition, sword drawn, wings expanded, fire in his eyes, fighting off the accusations, distractions, and sabotage meant to pull you back into the previous cycle. You see, the enemy doesn't fight what's not a threat. If your life was insignificant, the battle would be silent. But the louder the resistance, the more evidence you carry a promise that shakes hell itself. Every delay, every disappointment, every spiritual attack has been proof that what heaven wrote for you was so significant, the enemy launched immediate interference. But here's the mystery. The battle wasn't just around you, it was also within you. The conflict wasn't just demonic, it was personal. Old fears rose up. Old habits resurfaced. Doubt crept in. Timelines didn't make sense. You began questioning not only the path, but your worth to walk it. That's when you must understand. Heaven allows the shaking not to break you, but to reveal what's been buried beneath fear and delay. You've been crying out for answers. You've been asking, God, why is it so hard right after you gave me hope? And the Spirit answers, because what I released over you is real, and real shifts require real resistance. But here is what the enemy forgot. Heaven watches and records everything. Every sigh, every step forward, every tear in private, every act of obedience when no one understood. Every time you chose worship over worry, stillness over chaos, surrender over control, it was noted in the scrolls. Nothing was wasted. Nothing went unnoticed. Right now, Archangel Michael is still standing watch. He is still surrounding what was released. But understand this, his protection does not exempt you from your responsibility. Your role is not to fight. Your role is to posture your heart in obedience, stillness, and unshakable faith. You are not called to force the breakthrough. You are called to believe in it. You are called to protect what was spoken over you with silence, reverence, and unwavering alignment. The battle is spiritual. The tools are spiritual. Your mind won't win this war. Your emotions won't fix what's broken. It will take you going into the secret place, locking the door, and saying, God, I still believe what you declared on August 22, even though everything around me is screaming the opposite. That is spiritual warfare. That is how you contend for what is yours. The opposition you feel now is not final. It is the last resistance before the manifestation. The darkness always howls before the dawn. And right now, heaven is looking not for those who are perfect, but for those who will persevere. Not for those who understand everything, but for those who refuse to walk away from what God has marked as theirs. So do not mistake conflict for abandonment. God has not left you. He has stationed his strongest warrior beside you. Archangel Michael is your divine evidence that what was released is worth defending. Let that sink into your soul. The warfare is not punishment, it's protection. Heaven is shielding what is holy. The fact that you are still standing is proof that you are covered, chosen, and carried. This is not the time to back down. This is the time to recognize that your resistance is not random. It is the language of heaven's war for your destiny. Type "I will not bow to fear" in the comments if you feel this battle in your spirit. Lesson code 4444 is now enforcing victory over your life. This is not a drill. This is not just a word for comfort. This is a warning from the throne room, one that carries the urgency of heaven and the sword of Archangel Michael at its side. You must feel it by now, the pressure in the atmosphere, the unease that cannot be explained, the heaviness resting on your chest like a storm waiting to break open. That feeling is not anxiety, it is spiritual notification. Heaven is issuing a prophetic alert. Something is rising. Within the next 72 hours, a shift will stir the realms around you. You will not see it with your natural eyes, but you will feel it in your spirit like thunder in your bones. It may come as a conversation, an interruption, a confrontation, or a strange pause in the normal flow of your day. Pay attention. Be watchful. Because this next moment will not wait for your convenience. It will demand your discernment. It will test your faith. It will separate the ones who are ready from the ones who are still asleep. The enemy has heard the sound of your chapter turning. He knows that what was rewritten on August 22 carries the power to close old doors forever. So now, he scrambles, not in power, but in panic. Expect distractions to increase. Expect temptation to masquerade as opportunity. Expect false alignment to knock on your door dressed in the clothing of comfort. But do not be deceived. Everything is not as it appears. You are standing in the hallway between warfare and breakthrough, and what happens next will hinge on your posture. The pressure you're feeling is not punishment. It is proof that something holy is trying to manifest. But hear this. If you do not prepare your spirit, if you do not guard your gates, if you do not walk in wisdom, you could miss the exact moment that was meant to heal everything. Heaven does not exaggerate. When a warning is released, it is because divine movement is already in motion. The angels are not coming. They are already dispatched. Michael is not preparing to defend you. He already stands at your gate. The moment is nearer than you think, and your readiness will determine your reward. Some of you are feeling it already. You're waking up in the night without explanation. You're losing interest in things you used to crave. You're being pulled away from conversations, settings, and habits that once entertained you. That's not coincidence. That's preparation. The Spirit is consecrating you, drawing you out of the noise because what's coming cannot be received in chaos. There is a whisper in the wind saying, "Pull back now. Come higher. Listen deeper. Walk softer." It is not the time to talk loosely or move carelessly. It is not the time to overshare with people who don't carry the weight of your assignment. Some things are sacred, and what heaven is doing in you right now requires secrecy. Not everything that is divine should be made public. What's rising in your life is holy, protected. In the next 3 days, something will try to test your obedience. It may feel small. It may appear unrelated. But it will be a hinge moment, a divine intersection. If you move too fast, you'll step over it. If you remain distracted, you'll miss it. But if you obey the nudge, honor the stillness, and follow the whisper, you will walk straight into the confirmation heaven has been preparing. The warning is not to instill fear, it is to awaken reverence. This is not punishment, it's protection. The Lord does not warn where he will not also cover. But make no mistake, this moment requires your focus. You cannot afford to move blindly. Not now. Not when the door is cracking open and angels are stationed to escort you through. You not ignore the trembling in your spirit. You not dismiss the sudden tension in the atmosphere. You're not losing your mind. You're hearing the countdown in the spirit. And when the heavens move, they don't move in vain. There is something that must shift through you, and your silence and stillness in these next 72 hours will be more powerful than any battle cry. Type "I will stay awake" in the comments if your spirit bears witness. Blessing code 1010 is now anchoring your discernment. Now is not the time to fight in your flesh. Now is not the time to strive, to reason, or to run in 1,000 directions trying to fix what heaven has already handled. The next move is not yours in the natural. It belongs to heaven. And Archangel Michael is not waiting for your strategy. He is waiting for your stillness. Hear this clearly. Be still. Archangel Michael fights when you don't. In the realm of the spirit, movement is not always physical. Power is not always loud. Sometimes, the most dangerous thing you can do to the kingdom of darkness is to be silent before the Lord. Not silent in fear, but silent in trust. Silent in reverence. Silent because you know the commander of heaven's armies is handling what would have consumed you if you tried to carry it on your own. The Father is not looking for anxious hands. He is looking for surrendered hearts. The war around your promise does not require your striving. It requires your posture. And the moment you step back and say, "Father, not my will, not my way, not my understanding, just your timing," you invoke the full strength of heaven's protection around your life. Right now, the command is clear in the spirit. Withdraw from the noise. Go out from the chaos. Step away from the familiar voices that keep you tethered to confusion. The transition that began on August 22 cannot survive in environments that echo doubt. What God has rewritten cannot be revealed in rooms where fear still reigns. You are being called into sacred withdrawal, not isolation, not abandonment, but intentional silence. Because when heaven is moving, you don't speak, you listen. You don't chase signs, you follow peace. You don't perform for clarity, you obey without it. There is a storm rising in the unseen realm, and it is not against you, it is for you. Michael is not warring to defend your past. He is defending the path to your future. And every demonic resistance that tried to close your door is now being crushed under the feet of angels. But if you move prematurely, if you let anxiety drive you back into what was familiar, you will step out of the perimeter of divine protection. The instruction is simple: be still. not because you are weak, but because heaven is strong. This is not your battle. It never was. What God began on August 22 is too holy, too weighty, too strategically layered for you to try to engineer it with your flesh. This chapter will not be won with effort. It will be inherited through surrender. When God rewrites your life, He also rewires your rhythm. That's why your old habits aren't working. That's why the usual distractions feel hollow. That's why you feel exhausted trying to do what used to come easily. You're not losing strength. You're being broken out of the cycle of self-dependence. Michael fights when you rest. The angels advance when you kneel. Heaven moves when you are still enough to perceive it. You've cried enough. You planned enough. You talked enough. Now it's time to shut the door, quiet the noise, and sit at the feet of your defender. He who called you is faithful. He who marked August 22 as your moment did not forget the weight of what He entrusted to you. He is not slack concerning His promises, and He will not allow what He rewrote in heaven to be erased by warfare on earth. So be still. Let Him fight. Let Him direct what went wrong. Let Him realign the timelines that seemed stolen. Let Him shield your name, your next steps, your divine connections. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, but no movement out of God's timing will prosper either. Trust the silence. There's more power in it than you think. This moment is not passive. It's prophetic. You're not hiding. You're being hidden. Covered. Guarded. Kept. Until the exact moment when the shift becomes visible. Until then, keep your peace. Keep your focus. Stay under the wing of divine protection. Heaven is covering what is coming next. Type "I trust His timing" in the comments if you will rest under His covering. Blessing code 8080 is now shielding your next step. You are not who you were before August 22. That version of you, the weary one, the one waiting for validation, the one tolerating delay and dancing around dysfunction, is no longer authorized to lead your life. Heaven rewrote your chapter, and now you must rewrite your identity. This is not just a new season. It is a divine transformation. You are stepping into the version of yourself that was hidden, buried, and restrained by spiritual warfare, but no more. You are becoming who heaven always said you were. This moment is not about survival anymore. This is about commanding your destiny. The old you cried out to be rescued, but the awakened you, the one marked by fire and guarded by Archangel Michael, that you rises now with authority in your voice, oil on your hands, and clarity in your spirit. This is your unveiling. This is your spiritual ascension. You are not stepping into the battlefield anymore as a victim. You are stepping in as a warrior. Can you feel it? There's something different about the way you breathe now, about the way you walk, about the way your spirit responds to opposition. What used to break you now builds you. What used to delay you now drives you. The weight you carried was not punishment, it was preparation. And now that the pressure has served its purpose, you are being loosed to lead. Heaven is not waiting for a perfect you. It's waiting for a bold you, a faithful you, a fearless you. There is a spiritual fire beginning to rise in your chest, and it is not there by accident. It is the flame of the Spirit rekindling what life tried to snuff out. Every trial was an attempt to drown your confidence. Every loss tried to convince you that you were forgotten. But the fire never left. It was just buried beneath layers of survival. And now, as heaven confirms your transition, the flame is rising again. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not disqualified. You are becoming the threat the enemy feared you would be. This is the hour where the wings that were hidden begin to stretch. This is the moment you stop asking for permission to walk in your calling. No more shrinking to make others comfortable. No more rehearsing rejection. No more apologizing for the favor on your life. You have been mantled for command, and heaven is pulling you into position. God didn't rewrite your chapter so you could stay in hiding. He didn't assign Archangel Michael to your gates so you could play small. This is not the time to shrink. This is not the time to hesitate. This is the time to own the anointing, to walk in the mantle, to speak like you are sent, to move like you are chosen. You are not just breaking generational curses, you are establishing generational blessings. You are not just surviving the fire, you are being baptized in it. And the ashes of your past are now the soil for your authority. You carry the evidence of someone who has been tried and not burned, tested and not broken, hidden and not forgotten. From this moment forward, everything shifts. The way you pray, the way you walk, the way you think about yourself, the way you engage the enemy. You are no longer one just hoping for breakthrough. You are the breakthrough. You are the open door someone else is waiting to walk through. You are the miracle in motion. You are the manifestation of heaven's faithfulness. So step up, step forward, step in. The rewriting of your life on August 22 was not symbolic, it was sovereign. You are walking now not just as someone who has survived pain, but as someone who carries the mandate to speak life, release healing, and shift atmospheres. The crown fits now. The oil flows now. The fire burns now. No more waiting. No more wondering. You are rising into command. Type "I'm rising" in the comments if your identity is shifting. Blessing code 9900 is now unlocking your spiritual authority. Now hear this. Everything you've walked through wasn't for nothing. Every storm, every delay, every tear, every unanswered question, it was all a preparation for the promise that is now set before you. The pain wasn't a punishment. It was prophecy pressing its way through resistance. What you're about to step into is not just a reward, it's a reveal. This is the moment heaven begins to unveil what was hidden, covered, and protected during your time of warfare. And the Spirit of the Lord says, this is the chapter that was rewritten on August 22. You've waited, but not in vain. You've held on when everything screamed to let go. You've obeyed when clarity was nowhere to be found. You've pressed in when you didn't feel strong enough to move forward. And all of it, yes, all of it, was leading to this point of prophetic revelation. The struggle was not evidence of abandonment. It was evidence of divine strategy. You were not being overlooked. You were being hidden. Because what God is about to unveil through your life carries too much glory to be exposed before its time. August 22 was not a whisper. It was a heavenly announcement. And though the earth did not hear it, the heavens recorded it. The angels moved that day. Assignments were shuffled. Locks were broken. Books were open. And in that moment your name was highlighted in heaven's registry, not as a beggar, not as a failure, not as someone forgotten, but as a victorious heir, as one whose chapter was rewritten by the very hand of God. What the enemy meant for harm has now been reversed. What you lost in the fire, you're about to gain in glory. What was withheld is about to be released, not in fragments, but in fullness. The relationships, the resources, the revelations, they're not coming as replacements. They're coming as redemptions. Heaven is paying back with interest, because what you endured privately will now be honored publicly. And this revelation is not just about what's coming. It's about who you are becoming. You are not the same. There's a weight on your words now, a fire in your prayer life, a discernment in your decisions. The mantle you carry is not just for survival, it's for dominion. You are walking with heaven's backing. When you speak, things will shift. When you move, resistance will scatter. When you declare, atmospheres will obey. Why? Because your name is written in heaven's book of victory. Don't second guess what's stirring in your spirit. Don't dismiss the sense that something divine is hovering over your life. This is the unveiling. This is the revelation. And it's not for your glory, it's for God's reputation through you. He's making a statement through your restoration. Your life will not only speak healing, it will release it. You will walk into rooms and shift them. You will carry peace where chaos once ruled. You will become the evidence that God writes stories. The revelation isn't just prophetic, it's personal. God is about to show you why the door had to shut, why the delay had to happen, why certain people had to walk away, why things seemed to fall apart just before they were meant to come together. It's all about to make sense, because what is revealed in this chapter will be the answer to every season of silence you endured. So stand tall. Lift your head. Don't flinch under the weight of the glory that's coming. This is not your downfall. This is your debut. This is your divine unfolding. The suffering prepared the soil, but the blessing will now be the banner that flies over your life. The rewritten chapter is about to be read aloud by heaven. Watch how swiftly things begin to shift. Type "I am the evidence" in the comments if you receive this revelation. Blessing code 2020 is now illuminating your name in heaven. As the revelation settles, hear the Spirit invite you deeper. If this word has pierced your heart, then you already know. This is more than a message. This is an altar moment. A divine intersection where prophetic fire meets human obedience. As heaven reveals what was written on August 22, it's time to partner with that revelation in the natural. The harvest is near. Souls are awakening. And your giving helps ignite this global move of God. Every seed sown into this ministry is a torch placed into the hands of those still walking in darkness. It's not about supporting a channel, it's about sustaining a spiritual movement. I hear the Spirit declare, I will bless those who build what I am breathing on. If you feel led, you can sow through Super Thanks, join as a member, or give directly through the PayPal link in the video description. Your giving is prophetic. Your seed is sacred. Let it be a statement to heaven that says, I believe what was written about me. Act now. Don't delay. Prophetic alignment requires prophetic action. Heaven is watching, and heaven will reward. Sow into the glory. Activate your oil. Release your yes. Now the time has come not to wait, not to wonder, but to activate what heaven has written. Destiny is not passive. Destiny does not just unfold. It responds to a voice, to a posture, to a decree made in faith. What was rewritten on August 22 was not for admiration, it was for activation. And if you do not rise and declare it, you risk carrying a scroll that remains sealed, a promise that remains potential. Hear this by the Spirit. Heaven is waiting on your yes. Not a soft yes. Not a maybe. Not a hesitant whisper. A full body, full faith, full surrendered yes. The kind of yes that shakes off fear. The kind that silences confusion. The kind that signals to the angels, I'm ready. You must speak life over your future. You must open your mouth and declare what was whispered in your wilderness. This is not the time to sit in silence. This is not the hour to entertain hesitation. The enemy is counting on your passivity. Hell is banking on your doubt. But if you open your mouth, if you rise in obedience, the very gates that resisted you will start to tremble. Your voice is a key. Your alignment is a weapon. And your faith is the bridge between what heaven rewrote and what earth must now reflect. The Lord is saying, I've already released it. Now you must move into it. It won't manifest while you wait for perfect conditions. It won't come while you analyze the risk. It comes through movement, through obedience, through stepping when it still doesn't make sense. Destiny doesn't bow to comfort. Destiny bows to obedience. What you've been carrying is not ordinary. It's not light. That's why it's felt heavy. That's why the warfare around you hasn't made sense. Because the oil on your life wasn't meant for surface impact. It was crafted for generational shift. So now you must respond, not just in word, but in action. You must rearrange your life to match the word that was spoken. If heaven calls you healed, stop rehearsing your brokenness. If heaven calls you chosen, stop begging for validation. If heaven calls you anointed, stop entertaining environments that deny your calling. You cannot carry a rewritten scroll while still reciting the language of your last season. A command now is clear to activate what was written. Step forward. Open your mouth. Align your hands. Let your atmosphere reflect your agreement. Heaven is watching, not for perfection but for participation. It wants to know, will you believe what was declared on August 22 even when you haven't seen it fully unfold? There is a divine energy waiting to surge behind your obedience. A river that won't flow until your feet touch the water. A blessing that won't fall until you build the altar. Some of you are waiting for confirmation, but the confirmation is in your movement. As you step, the wind will come. As you obey, the doors will open. As you trust, the resources will align. Because this is not a season of reaction. This is a season of activation. Do not stay paralyzed by past pain. Do not hesitate because of what was lost. What was written in heaven is stronger than what was broken on earth. Your destiny didn't begin with your trauma. It began with God's design. And now, that design is calling you higher. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. Rise. Declare. Love. To be. Move. This is the chapter where everything shifts, but it only responds to activation. God has already done his part. Archangel Michael has already secured the path. Now it's your move. Say yes. Live yes. Walk yes. Let your entire being echo the word of the Lord. I am ready for what was written about me. Type ISAYYES to destiny in the comments if this call has ignited your spirit. Blessing code 5151 is now aligning your feet to divine paths. There is a realm your eyes cannot see, yet your spirit feels it constantly. A sacred space where divine transactions take place in silence, in mystery, in the shadows of heaven's throne room. This is where destinies are bartered for obedience, where burdens are traded for crowns, where what was stolen is demanded back by the authority of the blood. And in this realm, in this very hour, an exchange has already begun on your behalf. While you were sleeping, angels were moving. While you were weeping, heaven was recording. While you were questioning everything, the Spirit was negotiating your next season. There were no fireworks, no trumpet blast. But heaven saw the posture of your heart and called it currency. Every sigh, every whispered prayer, every time you chose silence over retaliation, every time you gave what it hurt, every time you forgave without an apology. These were not wasted. These were deposits in the Spirit. And heaven does not forget its accounts. On August 22, a heavenly audit was made, and what you thought was lost forever was re-entered into your life's equation with interest. You didn't even see it happen. But the shift was marked. The transaction was sealed. And now your spirit feels the tension of what your mind cannot comprehend. That unexplained unrest. That sudden fatigue. That sense of urgency that makes no sense. It is not anxiety. It is a sign. A sign that something is being rearranged behind the veil. A sign that something sacred is returning to you. The keys you thought you lost, the doors you thought were closed, the joy you thought you'd never feel again, all of it is being reissued, reassigned, restored. The enemy thought if he could wear you out in the delay, he could distract you from the delivery. But what he underestimated is the God who never forgets a surrender. While the accuser spoke lies in one courtroom, Michael stood in another, defending your name, your promise, your purpose. And heaven ruled in your favor. This silent exchange is not theoretical. It's real. It's happening now. And it's why everything feels like it's shifting under your feet. You are standing in a moment where the invisible realm is louder than the physical, and your body is catching up with what your spirit already knows. The chapter was rewritten, and the scroll has been unsealed. The healing you didn't think you were ready for, it's coming. The favor you stopped praying for, it's locating you. The opportunities you thought you missed, they've circled back under divine command. Because heaven never loses track of obedience. When you gave up the right to control the outcome, heaven took over the script. And now the weight you feel is not warfare, it's glory. It's the atmosphere of answered prayers drawing close. It's the nearness of fulfilled prophecy. And yes, your mind may still struggle to grasp it. That's why you must anchor yourself, not in logic, but in spiritual alignment. This is not the time to panic. This is not the time to assume the worst. This is the time to hold your peace, guard your heart, and let the Holy Spirit complete the transaction. He is still downloading, still restoring, still repositioning. If you try to interfere, you may delay what's already being finalized. Let your spirit say yes even when your mind doesn't understand. Trust what your heart is sensing. Honor the unease. It is evidence that something ancient, something holy, something long-awaited is being transferred from heaven into your hands. You are not empty. You are not behind. You are not overlooked. You are simply walking through the final stage of divine redistribution. What was meant for harm is being reversed. What was stolen is being returned sevenfold. What was blocked is now being released like a river unchained. The silent exchange is already underway, and by the time it becomes visible, you will stand in awe of what was orchestrated without your striving. Type "I receive the divine exchange" in the comments if your spirit is in agreement. Blessing code 3232 is now activating supernatural recompense over your life. The gavel has fallen in the courts of heaven, and the ruling is clear. Justice is now in motion. What was done to you in the dark is now being judged in the light. What was said about you in secret is now being reversed by truth. The lies, the delays, the betrayals, they did not go unseen. The dishonor did not go unrecorded. And now, by divine authority, heaven has ruled in your favor. The very story that once brought you shame is now the scroll upon which God will write vindication, elevation, and reversal. This is not just emotional justice. This is spiritual justice, the kind that corrects timelines, restores dignity, and overturns verdicts handed down by man but never approved by God. While they plotted your downfall, heaven prepared your promotion. While they stripped you of titles and tarnished your name, God was polishing your crown in secret. While you walked in silence, wounded but faithful, Archangel Michael stood guard over the integrity you refused to surrender. And now, the scales are tipping in your direction. The divine reversal is not subtle. It's bold. It's loud. It's undeniable. Those who thought you would never rise again are about to witness your ascension. Not because of vengeance, not because of pride, but because of righteousness. This is not about proving people wrong. This is about proving God right. His word never returns void. His justice never runs late. And his plans are not subject to man's permission. What the enemy tried to bury you under will now be the platform God uses to reveal his glory. The pain that once silenced you will become the trumpet that announces your breakthrough. The rejection that tried to redefine you will now reveal how deeply you were actually set apart. The delay was not denial. It was heaven's way of multiplying the power of your arrival. You remember the weight of the betrayal, the sting of being left behind, the ache of feeling forgotten. Heaven remembers it too. Every moment of injustice is now being answered. The things that were done to break you are now being used to build a legacy through you. The enemy didn't just fail, he helped usher in your breakthrough. Because the very schemes that were meant to ruin you became the pressure that activated your next dimension. God is not just restoring you to where you were. He's reversing the curse. He is reassigning the blessing. He is pushing you into rooms you were once barred from. He is opening gates that were locked by man-made systems and carnal manipulation. He is rewriting the ending with a holy pen. And that's why the warfare intensified after August 22, because the enemy sensed the verdict before you heard it. He knew the reversal had already been signed in heaven. Don't look back. Don't replay the wrongs. Don't waste your breath trying to explain yourself to those who chose to misunderstand you. That is no longer your assignment. Your vindication will not come through conversation. It will come through demonstration. The fruit will speak. The favor will confirm. The oil will pour. And those who tried to curse you will have no choice but to witness the overflow. This is the hour of public favor after private obedience, of open reward for hidden faithfulness, of divine reversal that cannot be ignored. Archangel Michael has not only defended you, he now stands beside the justice being delivered into your life. He is watching over the shift. He is guarding the exchange. He is enforcing the ruling of the Almighty concerning you. Let them see the shift. Let them witness the redemption, not for revenge, but for righteous confirmation that God never loses a battle, never forgets a seed, and never allows injustice to go unanswered forever. You are stepping into a season where the very things that broke you will now bow to you, and the shame you carried will now be replaced with glory. Type "I receive heaven's justice" in the comments if this reversal is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 4111 is now activating divine recompense and restoration. Let it be settled now in your spirit. August 22 was never random. It was not just a date, not just a day, not just a coincidence. It was the appointed moment when the courts of heaven convened, when the hand of the Almighty reached into your timeline and rewrote a chapter that had been marred by warfare, loss, and delay. That moment was holy. That moment was strategic. And even if you didn't see it with your eyes, your spirit knew. Something shifted. You have now walked through the revelation. You felt the pressure, the mystery, the emotional unraveling, and the spiritual warfare. You've heard the whisper. You've received the warning. You've been guarded by Archangel Michael, who still stands beside you, watching, warring, and waiting for you to step fully into what has already been released. The time of doubt is over. The time of delay is over. The time of waiting to feel ready is over. Evidence moving. Now you must move in full agreement. You are sealed. You are seen. You are sent. Let every other voice be silenced now. Let every former version of you fall off like old skin. Let every false label placed upon you be burned in the fire of truth. You are not who they thought you were. You are not who the enemy tried to convince you to be. You are who God says you are, redeemed, restored, and repositioned. Walk in this truth. Rise in this revelation. Stand under the covering of angelic protection, and speak with the authority of one who has survived the war and has been commissioned into victory. I declare over you now, the rest of your year will not mirror the pain of your past. The remainder of 2025 will be marked by swift justice, divine clarity, supernatural provision, and an overwhelming peace that passes all understanding. You will walk into rooms already prepared for you. You will receive news that confirms the heavenly scroll. You will see with your eyes what your spirit has known for years. You are not behind. You are right on time. The chapter hath been rewritten. The angels have been dispatched. The reversal has been set in motion. Now step into it, with boldness, with peace, with fire in your bones. Your name is written in the book of victory, and the gate before you will open, not by might, not by power, but by the Spirit of the living God. Type "I am walking in victory" in the comments if this entire message has confirmed your new chapter. Blessing code 7007 is now finalizing your shift in Jesus' name. As this prophetic scroll closes, your heart already knows. This wasn't just a video. It was a divine encounter. If this message was your confirmation, your instruction, your push into destiny, then consider this moment sacred. The Spirit is moving through this platform to reach souls that were ready to quit. And with every seed sown, with every gift given, you become part of heaven's rescue mission. When you give, you're not giving to a personality, you're sowing into purpose. You're helping prophetic messages reach those still walking in silence. You're lighting fires in dark rooms. You're placing scrolls in trembling hands. God says in Isaiah 58:10, "If you spend yourselves in behalf of the hungry, your light will rise in the darkness." That is what you're doing when you support this ministry. So if your heart is stirred, move now. Support through Super Thanks. Join as a YouTube member. Or give directly through the PayPal link in the description. Every gift is oil. Every act is obedience. Every seed is prophecy in motion. Don't wait. Let your giving be a yes to God's movement through this message. Give boldly. Sow prophetically. Watch God reward supernaturally.